Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. Ah! Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. Oh. Mm, 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 mm.
Thanks so much for joining me. Right now, we are getting a brand new update on the path and the strength of Hurricane Dorian. A powerful storm that looks like it is headed straight towards Florida. The National Hurricane Center has just issued its latest advisory, and at the moment, all signs point to this being a major hurricane. The entire state of Florida is on alert as Dorian approaches. The governor has already declared a state of emergency, and stores are reporting empty shelves as residents stock up on food, water, and medical supplies. Let's get straight to the news broadcast. CNN Chad Myers joins us right now. Chad, what are you seeing?
I'm afraid, Fred, that it isn't good. Now we're up to a Category 4 hurricane, a low end 4, but irrelevant. 130 miles per hour. That's Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Here's Labor Day morning, 8 o'clock, still a Category 4, 130 miles per hour. It can be anywhere from the South Key Biscayne Jacksonville area possible because of the possible turn that this could make as it gets closer to the shore. It is going to slow down for sure. This is 24 hours, literally from the coast to Orlando in 24 hours. You can walk there in 24 hours, and that's the heavy rain potential all the way through the entire peninsula of Florida, because this will not be a compact storm when it gets there. It has 96 hours to gain strength in very...
Okay, guys, well now Dorian has jumped 20 miles an hour. in the last 6 hours, now up to 105 miles an hour. So it is almost a major hurricane at 111. It becomes category 3. It's pretty clear. It's going into an area now where there's extremely warm water. There's low shear. There's not a lot of air. So we truly believe there's nothing to stop this from becoming category 4 or maybe even higher than that. This could become a 5 over the next day or two. Doesn't mean that it necessarily is going to make landfall as a 5, but it's pretty clear as well. We were talking about this all afternoon. The Hurricane Center has indeed shifted its track to the south, about 30 miles since the last advisory, and there's certainly the possibility they could drop it even more at 5 a.m. depending on how the overnight runs go. A couple of things we're going to talk about here. First of all, this is category 4 at winds of 140 miles an hour. Just So what happened today was that with some to category 3 and the 2 o'clock advisory. So what happened today? Today was that with the new advisory and the 2 o'clock advisory, the intermediate advisory, the storm strengthened some to category 3 with winds of 150 miles an hour. Now, hurricane hunters haven't been in there for a while, so they won't change the wind speed much until once again it's investigated. The satellite appearance, which I'll show you in just a second, is getting more impressive. So it's likely the storm is strengthening, but sometimes the Hurricane Center errs on the side of caution and says, let's wait till we get another plane in there and see exactly what's going on inside the hurricane. But it is 150 mile an hour winds now, category 3. This is unexpected, remember. So let's wait till we get another plane in there. See exactly what's going through. This indication, if it had something right there, but now as it's going that way a little bit. Now, what? But now, and here we are, most like Monday, it has slowed substantially. Noon, point before Florida and long. There is Tuesday morning. It's not there. We think there's it's forecast. A lot storm or zooming in. But first, and things like hardly popping now. Now the speed, but now here we are. How it goes. Really being hit hard here with the effects as far south, most likely as even the Nassau, New Providence. So then going into Monday, storm has slowed substantially. This is Grand Bahama here. It's near or over Grand Bahama. This is Monday afternoon. Now, if it were to go a little faster, it could be approaching the coast. A little bit slower, it might be behind a little farther to the south on the track, closer to South Florida. Then to the next forecast point, we start to see a little bit of a turn there. Forecast to reach the coast is Category 4 here. That's Tuesday in the time frame now. And then after that, it's forecast to move north. Now, there's a tremendous amount of possibilities here. A lot that involve Florida, and a lot, or at least some that don't involve Florida, with a storm moving along the coast, or just offshore, or onshore, or over the peninsula, and things like that. We're going to investigate that a little bit more. First off, the satellite loop through the day. See, at first it was kind of a blob-looking thing, and now, look at that. The eye is really becoming visible, zooming in on the high-resolution satellite imagery there. That's a picture every minute. You can see very, very high detail of the eye. So the two big models we were talking about yesterday were pretty far apart, and that was concerning. And then last night they kind of gathered together, but they were gathering together over South Florida. They're closer today. We like that. We think there's more confidence in that, but there's still some differences. Now, the European model, if you were watching yesterday, remember it took that scary dive to the southwest. That is not there anymore. It's more of a west motion. That is Monday. There is Tuesday morning. European model basically parks the storm. The GFS model kind of moves to the northwest here. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, now both storm centers, according to the models, are moving north. One is just offshore and one is over the peninsula. So it's really, really close call. And in this case, we have to prepare for any variance in the model, which means it could still come here as an intense hurricane. So tomorrow, shutters go up. We'll be talking about evacuations with emergency managers. Sunday, opportunity for lasting winds. And I think Monday, that's when the weather deteriorates and the winds increase. We'll have more on that and our preparation weather coming up. So what happened?
It's a paper.
Let's take it back down to Brian. He has apparently an intensity forecast. We understand, Brian,
From there.
And breaking tonight, Hercules death.
First and motor emerging.
Yeah, these stats are off east of West Palm Beach, but winds are 100 kilometers per hour short. Gain strength. To 150 miles per hour, just 4 miles per hour short of becoming a Category 5. Now, here's the change tonight. We've seen a trend in the guidance where it's starting to curve back towards the east. Now, immediately you're thinking the Carolinas are in the path, and certainly the threat for the Carolinas has increased, but there is some good news. This track is starting to trend further offshore, even for the Carolinas. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about that trend in the guidance and what potential scenarios could keep this offshore or bring it closer to the Carolinas and cause some big-time issues, guys.
It is time for Florida heading towards a new up. We're moving central wind speed per hour. Wind speed Dorian more perfect in the 34 and 11 minutes, 15 miles in diameter. That north activity on the quadrant ice, but it will the minute south eastern quadrant, and then also a little bit less as you go over to the southwest quadrant there, and the northeast matching that. In terms of tropical storm force winds, it's expanding farther out from the center. Almost in every quadrant, to around 100 miles out from the center. The exception is that southwestern quadrant, reaching only around 60 miles out. And those tropical storm force winds need to be.
In breaking news, of course, a catastrophic in breaking news of hurricane the South Michelle Grossman.
Hurricane of 1935. So we have not had a storm in the Atlantic Basin.
Right now on to where Dorian is, where it's going to. Following this story since the weekend after practical. Causing big damage as the storm crawls up the East Coast. The coast of Florida got hit hard in the last 24 hours. Millions of people evacuated there, but this storm left a lot of devastation, especially in the Bahamas, where at least 20 people were killed, and now at least one storm-related death here in the U.S. The storm weakened as it moved along the Florida coast, but the big concern there, flooding, with several feet of storm surge along with heavy winds and rain knocking down trees and power lines. Now, as you take a look at the satellite, we can see that this is still crawling up the East Coast, as we said, and that eye wall right there still fairly defined. The outer bands now extending all the way into parts of North Carolina. Category 2 storm, 110 miles per hour for the winds, and that's maintained its strength and even increased slightly in the last 24 hours. Here's a look at the rain bands. Again, most of that affecting the Georgia coastline and starting to creep towards South Carolina. One of the biggest things that we're going to be watching is obviously how much rain they're going to get. Right along the coast, anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of rain, inland up to 3 inches. But again, storm surge, a big deal here. We could see a threat to life and property with our storm surge flooding greater than 6 feet above the ground as it moves along the coast. Still is a category 2 all the way through tomorrow morning and into Friday before it finally moves off the coast, affecting parts of the Canadian Maritimes. This will be a story we're following into the weekend. So the U.S. is also stepping up relief efforts in the Bahamas, where the damage from Dorian just jaw-dropping. Remember, the storm made landfall there at the highest, strongest level, category 5. The strongest.
Mm, mm.